get my tag yet.
Yeah.
Turn off my silencer.
Right. I'm like, let me silence all my devices. I'm like, turn everything.
Okay. I don't see it yet. Maybe it'll pop up here in a moment.
Okay.
Or maybe I will go to your page and see.
Awesome. Telling everybody great morning.
It's on your personal page. Oh, there we are. Okay.
Making sure my lighting is good. All right. I like this little outfit you got on. It's real cute. Real summertime vibe.
It's a little cute, you know, since I'm talking to Precious today.
Yeah. Like I'm talking
well.
so I got my little silk on. I was like, let me come with it. Yes.
You know how we are as girls, you know, we start to get kind of to that ideal, you know, weight, and you know, you're like, okay.
You like,
I'm gonna do something fun.
Yeah. Well, great morning. Thank you so much for blocking time out your schedule to mastermind with me this morning. When we finally finalized the date, I was like, wow, that's the day of my birthday. So this is
oh my God, happy birthday.
Yeah, I was like, okay, I'm starting my morning with Miss Tyler. Cool, this works.
That's right. I am a birthday girl. Everybody that knows me know I love birthdays. So happy birthday, beautiful. You know, obviously we were talking I guess it was last week, and you're like, you know what? I'm about to leave my 20s. And you know, I remember those days, but I have watched everything happen from the time that we met. It's been a number of years, and you are just absolutely incredible. You have just evolved to be an incredible businesswoman, you know, just a great friend. And I can tell that, you know, your passion and love for other people just exudes. And so hopefully your day today will be fantastic. And I'm privileged to spend the first part of your birthday morning with you.
Thank you. Thank you. Yes, I definitely appreciate it. And just to kind of set the tone of the conversation, my whole intention of putting together this Faith and Finesse Mastermind series was one, to just show my appreciation and give back. You know, learning from others, I feel like is the greatest way for us to really grow and evolve, and then inviting some of my friends along the journey and just people I've connected with to be a part of that, and just giving back. And, you know, pivoting, it's a part of life. And
yes.
You know, I definitely admire you as a woman that knows how to pivot with faith and finesse. And so, you know, we'll talk about and tap into some of those moments, and you can just, you know, share some insight with us. But I always like to start with a moment of gratitude. So I just want to thank God for this opportunity right now. And I just hope everyone that's tuning into this conversation, that they get whatever they came to this conversation to receive. I believe we are in a spirit of gratitude and just expectation of your abundant blessings and joy. And I know that you are with us, and wherever we are weak, you will make us strong. And we are just excited to just be in the space and be in the energy to just be able to grow and create and make new. So, dear God, thank you for this opportunity. In Jesus' name, amen.
Amen. Yes. Amen.
Awesome. So you kind of started with my first question of like how we got connected. But I definitely would like to share even a little bit more, because I wrote on my story the other day just about connecting and the importance of networking. And you and I got introduced through TLC back in 2015 or 2014. I can't remember exactly. But yeah, many years ago. And
right.
Yeah, I was seeking mentorship. I was seeking guidance, and we just started to get to know each other. And she, you know, wanted to know more about me as a person. and letting her know like went to school for fashion and business, and it was a passion of mine, and I studied abroad and all these different things. And from there, that's when you were like, wait, my son, he actually loves fashion, and he's about to do a whole fashion show. And I was like, oh, wow, okay. And yeah, we've kind of just been stuck like glue.
Connected. That's right.
And so I'm just, grateful for you just seeing the talent in me and the potential in me, and, giving me a chance. So I appreciate you for that.
Yeah, no, absolutely. Precious, I think that's one of the things that we kind of forget is to talk to people as humans and find out what they love and who they are, to even know if there is a connection, where you can collaborate even at that moment or even down the road. And that's worked for me throughout my entire life and my career. I always really was genuinely interested in other people. And so had I not really had that when you came over, I would have just jumped right into business.
Right.
But because we talked about, your life and what you had done, I was like, wow, this may be, an awesome mentor. While I'm mentoring her, she can mentor my son who's growing up into that same field. And that's exactly what happened. I connected you guys. I called him down, introduced him to you. You guys built your own relationship, and I looked up one morning, he's like, Mom, I'll be back. I was like, where are you going? Oh, I'm going to meet Miss Precious. And I was like, you guys are talking? He's like, oh, yes, ma'am, and so, it just took off from there. And I really appreciate you just being a part of his life during that time. And some memories came up in my Facebook page, you and Jimmy sitting at the table with mounds of material and just working through that process. And you were a very intricate part of the launch of Jimmy Burner, through your expertise and your talent and your skill. And so I really appreciate you taking time and genuinely caring about him and his future at that time. And you guys still connect and collaborate even to this day. So thank you so much for that.
No, thank you. Yeah, I definitely plan on masterminding with him. He's just taken off, and just I can't even keep up with his growth. I'm like, you're what? He's growing up too fast for me. Like, I know 6-year-old Jimmy, okay?
Right.
He's a grown man now, so I'm like just really trying to take it all in.
That's right. Absolutely. I feel the same way.
Yeah. So let's hop into this faith and finesse. So definitely want to talk about just having to pivot in business, for example. I know a lot of us just, we understand that it's important for us to take control of our finances and be able to really create and financial freedom for ourselves. And so what was that moment when the light bulb came on for you in regards of entrepreneurship and really taking control of you pursuing financial freedom?
Well, Precious, I think that everything starts with an environment. If you're in an environment of, a family who, went to school, got their degrees, they love corporate America, they enjoy, climbing the corporate ladder, that's generally maybe the direction that you'll go in, but my dad was an entrepreneur. And from the time that I moved to Houston in the 4th grade, my dad always owned his own time. And, he was studying broadcasting at the time. And I think that's why I developed the love to be able to speak and, and to inspire through my voice and things like that. I would hear my dad, he just sounds so smooth and so good. And I was intrigued by that. And so then Dad went on to, to open a construction company, and he owned, a nightclub, and so I just watched that. He was at every game, he was at every track meet that I had, he was at every time I cheered, and he was just at everything. And so I think when I grew up, I liked that, and I wanted that to be a part of, of my life. And so I met someone who happened to have been my husband for over 25 years, who was an entrepreneur, but also taught high school band because that was a passion. And I just remember, just thinking back. And so, the answer to your question is, it was embedded in me from a young girl. And because it's not what's taught, it's what's caught. So I caught that in my dad, and the freedom and him being able to come and support. And I always said, I want to do that if I ever had kids, because that feels so good,
Yeah.
you know? And so it was just that pivot, right? My mother got me a job at Methodist Hospital during the summer. And my mom, you know, moms in those days, like, listen, don't you come up to my job and embarrass me. Wear your pantyhose, get to work on time, do your job. And I did that, you know, and so I was offered a permanent position while I was in college. And so I stayed that was my first and only job for 10 years working for Methodist Hospital. And all the while, well, I always had a side hustle, you know, where I sold something and made more money and things like that. So once I was at a point that whatever it is that you're seeking is also seeking you, that's what I wanted. And when I met Erwin, he had the insurance agency, and I was Medicare Medicaid coordinator at Methodist. And you know, he's like, you need to come work for me. Yeah. So I did. And you know, I took that agency. I think we were earning about $40,000 a year part-time. And when I went to work there full-time, we went over a 6-figure income. So yeah, I don't know if I answered your question, but that's kind of the pivot, you know?
Yeah. No, you really painted the story, because there's so many different factors that go into it. And I like that you did make the comment of, like, you know, your mom gave you this opportunity, so you wanted to show up for her and do good for her. And I mean, that's your mom. You got to be able to, like, show good that she raised at the top, you know? And so the fact that you were able to show up and you tried it and you did that, but then you never lost sight of what you really wanted. And so I think it's important to always just keep it alive and constantly seeking opportunities for you to actually, like, execute on it. So
that's right.
You definitely.
You know, one of the things too is that, you know, you can work. I tell even young people, you know, find a job that'll feed you while you work on your passion. And I said the same thing to Jimmy. I was like, you know, you've got to earn money. So even if you've got that job or that side gig, it will feed you while you work on your passion, because it's hard to be homeless and still try to find your passion, or, you know, trying to find food and then you're trying to find your passion. So that was kind of my philosophy. But I was just thinking ahead, because, you know, I did have my parents to guide me and support me in that process. So I just wanted to throw that out.
No, that's good. And I also want to take the time to just share some of the things that I've learned from you, just as a leader and just as a woman. I know one thing is that I've learned that it's important to take care of business and have fun. Like, you have to do both of them. You have to. Like, whenever we work together, we worked hard and we put in the sweat equity and everything, but we also had a lot of great times. And I think you made that a priority, which is what I valued a lot. And then second, I just really admire your loyalty as a person. I feel like you have a lot of solid friendships, and I think that's because you're a solid person. And so I also saw a bit of that in me as well, and being able to, like, really be able to say, like, I have genuine people around me, and you have a really, really great support system that I've always admired and made sure that I made that a priority for myself as well. And I also value that you value the youth, and you always are wanting to, you know, invest in our talents and seeing our potential. And so I just wanted to take the opportunity to just share that appreciation, because I know a lot of people know the youth is the way, but they don't necessarily put action behind those words. And you're definitely a woman that takes action with that. And so, yeah, that was just my praises.
Thank you. I appreciate that. Yeah, you guys are definitely our future. And I tell you, you know, the tenacity that, you know, that the millennial generation had is to be admired. You know, you guys know what you want and you go after it. And, you know, and even with you, you know, I watch you, I see what you're doing, I see your moves, and I just marvel at that, because nothing stops you, you know, and even the way that, you know, your faith in your family and your work, you know, you don't say that. I don't just hear that all the time, you know, and I know you do say it, but I see it is my point. You know, Dad used to tell me, I can't hear what you say, because what you do speaks so loud. And so what you do, I watch your, your morning inspirations, and, and even when we were working together, you were working by your affirmations, playing on your desk. And that's so important. So important.
Thank you. So we talked a little bit about business. Now I kind of want to get into the life aspect. I know you play several roles as like daughter, mom, wife. Can you talk a little bit about what the transition was as a businesswoman and you transitioning into being a mother? How was that transition?
Sometimes it's difficult. We were just talking about this with some other moms that, that are in business with me, and it's hard to balance. Those moms are, helping their kids at home right now through this whole pandemic. And for me, I always, had effective communication, with my son. And when the moment he was old enough to understand, what mom was doing, or mom and dad at that time was doing, we would always sit him down and have those conversations and make him a part of the movement or the growth or the company. Jimmy used to travel with me, and he would work the product table, and just made him a part. And, it's like, hey, you sell so much product, you're going to get a portion. And I would talk to him about commissions. And even as a kid, I never gave him an allowance, because that's only an amount that you are allowed to have. I always talk to him about commissions, because I know that if you can sell something, you'll always need to eat. So the balance for us, or for me with him, was making him a part of it. And then during those times where we were out of balance, I would tell him, hey, mom is going for something, I'm not going to be able to be here or there all the time, but when it's over, what would you like? Mm-hmm. And then I would reward him, because he had to sacrifice, my time or me being at a basketball game, but he knew that there was going to be something for him in it at the end. Right. So I just think that the effective communication with your kids, making them a part. Kids are smart. Yeah. And a lot of times back in the old days, parents was like, get on out of here. This is grown folk business. Right. And that still applied in some instances. But bring your kids into the fold and show them, by your doing. And I think that that's the best way to make them a part of it, because then they take ownership of what you're doing and what the success of what the family's having. And then in my business, every time we had a convention, from the time this kid could walk, when we would go on stage for awards, we'd call him up from the audience, and he'd come up there. I have pictures now. He's about this tall, and he's up there receiving the award too, because he sacrificed a lot during that time.
Yeah, no, that you make a great point. And I think, like you said, there is a time to have that, parent-child boundary, but essentially, if you're building a legacy, like, they need to be a part of the vision and be a part of the work that goes into that. And I do think just even seeing just how the world is moving and the education system, everything really starts from the household. And so there's only so much responsibility you can put on the teacher or the school administrator or even the mayor or the government systems. Like, I feel like everything should be, when we talk about creating change, I think everything starts in the household and in the family. Absolutely. And even in the work that I'm doing, I'm being specific in targeting the youth, but then also being able to target the parents that need that support in, like, figuring out how do I kind of close this gap, because sometimes there is a gap. And I think you are blessed to have effective communication. That is definitely one of your strong suits. And a lot of people are not, but it's a skill that you can work towards and work on. And it's something you have to consistently build. And it's definitely something that I've had to focus on as well, with personal communication and business communication. And yeah, it's a muscle. It's a muscle you definitely got to work. And I know with the late Mr. Portis, who I admire and just brings joy to my spirit whenever I say his name. I love that he went by the concept of live full and die empty. And he really uh, I'm over here like at a loss for words because now I'm just thinking about just how he moved and how he was just a boss, but such a genuine person, and
Mhm.
he had a great impact on a lot of people. And I just think I don't know how that played into what the question or comment I just said, but I was just moved to say that.
Yeah. You know, you know, Erwin to me, he was like a quiet storm. And
Yes,
sometimes
that's
as a
the
boss,
perfect.
people think that they have to be, oh, hey, look at me and loud and, I'm a boss, and in your face. When there are so many different personalities of bosses, and I mean in the boss word of how we use it today.
Right, right.
And he was just a quiet storm. I mean, he will walk up on you quietly, in slow motion. But when he left you, you had an experience.
Right.
And you didn't see him coming, Now I'm a little loud, and my personality is different. But, I do consider myself a boss. And so when I look at the various types of bosses, it's great because up and coming, young people, millennials, or even those that aren't, can really picture themselves of, what, that's me.
Right.
So I can still be successful and have a quiet spirit about myself, or, I can be, the life of the party and still be successful, so that was the thing that I admired about him. He was a quiet storm, and his conversation was always going to be a high level conversation. So.
Yes, and I'm so grateful that I was just a part of you all's lives at that time, and as well as like with that transition. Also, have your book here that I got from you that I read as well. Can you talk to us a little bit more about like just your transition and even creating this book and like what that experience was like for you? Because I know when I posted it on my page, I was like, I'm gonna give out a free book. And there was about like 8 or 9 people that DM and was like, wow, like I'm going through grief right now and I would love to get, tips and different things like that. So it's definitely needed. And so, yeah, if you don't mind being a little vulnerable and transparent about how that experience was for you with that pivot.
Sure. And, that was a huge pivot in my life. I'm getting goosebumps.
Mm-hmm.
That was a huge pivot in my life. And it was one that, to say heartbroken, it would be an understatement, right? And I've always been a person to journal. I've always been a journaler, and it's just been my safe place. And so I just started, journaling, just everything, and so out of that obviously came the book. And with death, there's a lot of grief, but as you're going through that, if you decide to stay here and not take your own life, or you decide, or you're here and God doesn't see fit to take you, onto heaven, you gotta navigate. And while we were so intertwined in everything we did, I couldn't do anything without thinking about him. I couldn't sit down and write out bills. I couldn't get online and pay bills because it was either Erwin and Twyler, or it was in his name, or, I mean, so as I wrote this, I and I've been thinking about just doing another edition because there's so much I left out, just now that my mind is a little clearer. But I wrote the book, one, because of the pain I was experiencing, and I just wanted to just write it out, and it was good therapy for me. But I also wanted to give someone else maybe a tool, the 7 steps of living life after death. Because Precious, I would travel, and I was traveling a lot then. Like I was running from whatever. I was on a plane. But as so many people came up to me who was still, like, parents had been dead for like 20 years, or lost a husband 10 years ago or whatever, and they were still in a very stuck position. Some had gone on to just really have some really difficult times, schizophrenia, and just so much was going on. And so I knew that people needed to have a tool. And if they wanted to get better and be able to live life after death, then they could use this tool and gradually be able to do that. because, death, I mean, my sister and I was talking last night, and we talk about our dad all the time, but we were able to still live life after that happened. And so the book was, number one, it was therapy for me. Number two, after experiencing so many phone calls and text messages and inboxes and DMs from people who had loved ones that they lost, and they were lost, I felt I wanted to give them a tool to use. And so that's why I did it. And then once I completed it, I didn't really push it or launch it, I just talked about it. And so just now, you just thinking in a different place. I know that it is something that whenever I mention it, or whenever anybody mentions it to anyone, people are always saying, you know what, I need that, or I want that. Because, it's not just the death, but people lose things. Even now, people are losing their jobs. They're losing their homes. They're losing their cars. They're losing their families. They're losing their wife or their husband, not to death, but just through divorce. Because of what's going on. And there's a death of a lot of things, right? Yeah. So it could be used really in every aspect. After I kind of thought about it, and then I do want to do another edition, because there's just so much that can be said that I left out.
Right. Yeah, as you were talking, I was like, I had my branding marketing hat on. I'm like, everybody in the U.S., in the world, needs this book right now.
Yeah.
I guess time to blast this out. But that's good to know that you are considering doing a part 2. It was a really good, easy read, and I like that you included the journaling pages within it. So, I'm looking forward to it. So you have to let me know when you're ready for that campaign, so we can do it.
Yes, I definitely have to use brand as well. And
of course. So with I lost my train of thought for a second. So let's talk health and wealth, right? So we already know, having different streams of income is not an option anymore. It's just a new standard that we all have to be focused on and creating. Now, the same is now with our health. I feel like there's so many benefits that have came from this pandemic. Like, I am still I'm actually grateful for it. Although, I definitely pray for those that are experiencing loss in this time. But for those of us that are still breathing, that are still alive and well, we are now faced with, wow, I really need to be healthy. I really need to work out. So what are some of the things that you've been doing to just maintain a healthy lifestyle within this time, or just, I guess, in life in general? Because once it's a lifestyle, it's something that you maintain on a regular basis.
Right. It's a part of your life. Well, I lost 14 pounds. Woo! So that's why I'm wearing my little jumper today, because I'm feeling good, right? But you know what? Here is the crazy thing is, when you get still, so much happened. Like, I've saved so much money from not eating out, not going out, I mean, I look at my bank account, it's like, okay, it's been 8 days. I still haven't spent any money. Right. So that's been fantastic. So even like that, the wealth, help the health of the wealth, just with that. And so I've been cooking at home, and when you cook at home, and, then you have a choice of kind of what you want to have. And if I made that decision that I'm going to eat healthy. So I cooked healthy options, at home. That was different. And then, even though I work from home, I still would get up, do my meditation, rush to the basin, get my teeth brushed, boom, just, and that was every day, and so what has happened is I've slowed down a little bit. I'm having my meditation in a different way. I am thinking about, ways that I could support, people and help people. And, and so it's like, because the world out there wasn't going on. So since the world was not going on, then Twilight didn't have to be going on, right? So it quietened my mind. And it was so weird because I am someone who worked right from this office every day. But I was still, you know, here, there, and everywhere. And because the world wasn't going on, I could focus on me, my business, my family, you know, and some self-care.
Right.
And so even for Jimmy and I, like, you know, we were having our little rituals in the morning, you know, having our conversations, and we were brainstorming and masterminding. And even though he lived in the house, heck, he'll be gone. By the time I, you know, get moving, he's out the door or I'm out the door. And we were like two ships in the night.
Right.
But yeah, the healthy, well, let me start. Healthy mind through my meditation, my set of words, my mind was settled and it wasn't racing to get out there to do whatever I had to do. And so that as that happened, and then eating better, you know, that happened. And of course, I have products that I use through Total Life Changes that, you know, allowed me to detox at a different level, and just get in tune, you know, with myself and my body. And yeah, it was good for me too. And I say that in the most humblest way because I know it's been so bad for so many people. And, you know, I don't want anybody to misunderstand what I'm saying. You know, I would have rather for it not to happen because it hurts so many people because it did. And one of my favorite aunts passed away, you know, during this process. Yeah, Big Irwin's, you know, sister passed away during this process. So, but yeah, I you know, it's just mind, body, and soul. So I focused on that. I got my mind even at another level. I focused on my body by eating right. And then my soul as a human being. Like I have given so much more during this time because I've been so conscious of giving, you know. So my soul feels good.
So how has your faith played a role in all of these different pivots that we talked about? I mean, we talked about transitioning, you know, into business and operating your passion full time, to being a mom, to you know, maintaining a healthy lifestyle that's not really easy. Like you've had to make all these different pivots. And so how did your faith play a role in you having these transitions and continuously transitioning? Like you now become an expert at pivoting.
Right. It's the biggest role. You know, last year I went through a really tough time, you know, went through a really crazy, you know, like lawsuit. It was crazy and it could have been detrimental, right? But because of my faith, I knew that we were going to be okay, that Jimmy and I were going to be okay, you know? My faith in, you know, there was a time in my business where my business was starting to, you know, become flat or, you know, just at a steady pace that wasn't growing. And it was my faith that, you know, I knew that things were going to change. You know, I wrote something 7 months ago on my mirror and I did it with a pink lipstick and I wrote it on there. And I know my son going there, he's like, okay, mom's really lost it now, you know? And when he told me that the girl that braided his hair, they did it in my master bathroom, and she looked at everything that I had and she said, Jimmy, man, wow, this is amazing. And everything that I wrote has happened.
Wow.
And it's because of my faith and my belief and seeing it and then, you know, just believing, you know. And a friend, I went to South Africa with a friend. Her name is Thanicia. I really want her to know this, and she knows it, but she gave me 2 scriptures to read. And they're about widows and fatherless children. And she's like, Twyla, God does not play when it comes to widow and fatherless child. And I stood on that. And I'm telling you, he doesn't. He doesn't. He does not play. He doesn't play with any of his children.
Right.
But so it was that faith in God, for me, and the faith in knowing that the end result is always going to be victorious if you don't quit. And that's in anything that you do in life. The end result is going to be victorious. And so that old saying, it's light at the end of the tunnel. It is, but you got to believe it. And the things that I was having the faith for, as I think about it, when it's already been done, you don't have to have the faith because it's already been done. Yeah. All you got to do is believe that it can be done for you.
Yeah.
And so my faith is so strong, Precious, because I've watched God move in my life. I've watched him move in my son's life and my family's life. And I've watched him move in the lives of people who I don't really even know. Because, I'm reminded by my grandmother, God is the same today, yesterday, and forevermore. Yes. And so my faith is very, very strong.
So I'm going to borrow some of your faith and ask you to affirm what you believe the end of 2020 will be. If we know it will be victorious, what does Ms. Twyla Portis think that looks like for us as a people?
I believe that God had to quieten us down, not just us and but the world. Because when you think about what was going on in the world, it was just crazy madness that was happening. And things have gotten quiet, and those leaders like you and me and so many more who grew during this process, that we are going to be staples, those staple human beings, to really do our part in making sure that the world is better.
Right.
And I talk to so many people. There go those chills again. I talk to so many people that really understand their role in making that happen. There's been so much appreciation for people. I look at Houston, when we had that big flood, the whole thing was Houston strong. It brought so many people together. So now it's the world strong. Yeah. We were appreciating things that we didn't appreciate before, and people that we didn't. So the outlook that I believe for 2020 is going to be that so many people are going to do their part, that the light is just going to shine on us as a country and as a world, because we can't help but come together. Look at all these, we've never collaborated together.
No.
Right? Yeah. Not that we didn't want to.
Right.
But this is giving us that opportunity. Look at all the Zooms that's taken place of people bringing on people, and all the Instagram lives that people are bringing people onto their lives, that never happened before.
Yeah.
So it's because we really do love connecting, but we were so busy doing our own thing out here that we didn't recognize each other. And so it's already happening. Right. And I just think that when things open back up, it's gonna be a change. It'll be different than it was before.
Yeah. No, I appreciate that, and I receive that. And yeah, there is gonna be a new normal, and we have to figure out, what role we want to play in. And I think it was one of my other masterminds. It was with Jared Wilkins, and he had made the comment that you need to, if you're not in the season of harvest right now, then you're in a season of planting and sowing seeds. And so I believe right now I'm still I feel like I'm in forever season of planting seeds. I'm always like wanting to serve and support, but I think even right now I'm being even more generous than I've ever been, even to my finances, to my time. I'm just giving.
Yeah.
Because it's a reciprocity, right? Like the more you give, the more you receive. And I honestly, I thank God for just the anointing he's put on my life and wanting to elevate to new levels of being. And honestly, the elevation, I just want to be able to give on a whole nother level. So to wrap us up, I'm going to give you some rapid fire questions.
Oh boy. Let me get some coffee.
So this should be fun. And guys, if you have questions, go ahead and put those in the chat, and then we'll answer those before we sign off. So These are like this or that questions, all right? Oatmeal or smoothie?
Oatmeal.
Audiobook or real book?
Audiobook.
Saks or Neiman's?
Neiman's. Shannon's watching.
Or text?
I didn't hear you.
Talk or text?
Talk.
Nutriburst or CBDT?
Nutriverse.
Okay, great. So we do have one question. They want to know where they can get a copy of the Living the Greatest Life Through You book.
You know what? I think it's on my website at twylaportis.com. See, y'all getting me in trouble with the brand specialist. She's gonna get me.
And they need to know where to purchase, okay?
Right. I think it's on my website at twylaportis.com. And if it's not there, just DM me or inbox me. I'll make sure you get a copy.
Yes. And then someone wants to know, what business is Ms. Twyler in?
I'm in the health and wellness business. I am an executive ambassador with the company Total Life Changes. Been there for almost 7 years. So it's health and wellness. And actually, it's so funny because I tell people, I build distribution networks all over the world. Is what I actually do.
And I love how you pull that all together, because that's exactly what you do.
Yeah.
Worldwide. Well, thank all of you for tuning in. I am going to make this link available so people can be able to see the replay. So when I have that, I'll send it your way.
Okay.
So yeah, I hope you have an awesome, productive day. I know
thank you.
I'm about to chill out and relax for the rest of the day. It's been a good conversation, and hopefully I'll get to see you soon.
Yeah, absolutely. But we want to give you a birthday gift. So please text me your Cash App. Okay. Because we want to bless you for your birthday and just show our love of appreciation that that you actually got us on today to just really talk to us, that you saw value in what we do. And so I really, really appreciate that. And Jimmy and I really love you to the moon and back. And so have a great day and enjoy your birthday.
Thank you. All right,
bye everybody. Thank you.